Which single coil pickup reigns supreme? We're talking Fender Single Coil Pickups versus Gibson's P90 Single Coil Pickup. Today, I'm putting a Stratocaster, a Telecaster, and a Les Paul Special head-to-head. It's John here from Play and Trade Guitars, and if you like new guitar reviews and informative buyer's guides, hit subscribe and join this community of guitar players. All three of these guitars are made in America and they're stunners, but I'm also gonna break down some affordable alternatives for you. If you're in the market for any new guitars, including a Strat, Tele, you name it, shop new gear using my link. It's a win-win. You help me make these videos and you get fast free shipping and easy payment plans. You can check out the links below or scan this QR code if you're watching on a TV. All right, without further ado, let me show you the three contenders today. I'm gonna give you a little background on single coil pickups between these three guitars, and then of course, we're gonna plug them in and play them. I'll see you at the end for my honest, raw reaction to playing all three and tell you my absolute favorite. First, we start with the Gibson Les Paul Special because it has P90 single coil pickups, and they're the oldest single coil pickups developed by Gibson of the three guitars that we're looking at today. P90s differ in construction. They have a bar magnet and a slightly different build than the Fender single coil pickups, and as you'll hear, they sound different as well. It's definitely worth owning both a Fender style single coil pickup guitar and a Gibson P90 style guitar because they have beautiful complementary sounds and they both stick out in the mix really well. Let's talk about the P90 first. It's the oldest. This is called a soap bar P90 because it's shaped like a soap bar. There's also dog ear. And this guitar pickup is gonna have adjustable pull pieces. The magnetic difference between these Fender style single coil pickups is going to be this bar magnet that runs lengthwise. In fact, something you need to do with P90 pickups sometimes is make sure that you balance the neck pickup to be low enough that volume-wise it's not blowing out your sound when you switch to neck. This is going to be non-adjustable pull pieces, these magnets, and it's not going to have the bar magnet like we saw in the P90. A single coil sound is an essential, as is a humbucker sound, but as we dive into single coils, I can tell you what I love about P90s in particular is that they have a singing bite in treble, and in neck position, they have a beautiful blanket of velvety, warm tone. And big body, big rounded body between both voices, which really cuts through the mix, and compared to Fender single coils, packs a lot more power, and you'll hear that and you'll see that here. Telecaster, how about a guitar that was perfect almost right out of the box, right? This guitar developed its journey from the 1949 Esquire on to the Broadcaster to the Nocaster to, in 1951, as this American Vintage 2 is giving an homage to, the 1951 Telecaster, this one in beautiful prototype white. And what sets this guitar apart, of course, is it has single coil pickups, including a bridge pickup, which is mounted on a steel plate. Pretty unique at the time. Leo Fender designed a working man's guitar that was made from interchangeable parts that could be assembled kind of like a car or auto assembly line that he was seeing in Detroit. Well, what Leo Fender did is take interchangeable parts and build the perfect electric guitar, which is still so popular today. But the distinct sound, since we're talking pickups, of that bridge tele pickup on a steel plate and that beautiful neck pickup on a Telecaster gives you a beautiful combination of tones, not to be overlooked. Telecaster is probably my favorite all-around guitar, and I still believe it's one of the most versatile guitars ever made, even to this day. And I'll tell you what, with three positions on a Tele, you get bridge, you get neck, and you get something really special, which is middle position. The reason that middle position is so cool is you get a punchy, rhythmic, articulate setting, which is not found on a Stratocaster. So the Telecaster had settled into being by 1951, but in 1954, Leo kept working and developed the Stratocaster, a sexier, sleeker, more contoured body, and distinct difference in the pickups. We have three single coil pickups. While there was originally only a three-way blade switch, there is now on a modern Stratocaster, of course, a five-way blade switch, which gives you more sound combinations. One thing I mentioned though is that the Stratocaster, unless you wire it with a mod, does not come with the ability to put the bridge and the neck pickup on at the same time, like I showed you in the Telecaster, and you'll hear that distinct sound. But now where the Stratocaster has its own distinct sounds is the bridge pickup, which to me is heavily influenced by the fact that the Strat and not the Tele has a floating trem. And something about the floating trem assembly, that steel block with the strings under tension and anchored through that steel block, give a distinct bite to the tone of a Stratocaster single coil pickup that you won't find in either of the other two. Now, one of my all-time favorite sounds on a single coil guitar of any kind is the neck pickup on a Strat. I mean, give me a break. It's one of the most beautiful tones you can get. And that neck pickup is different than the Tele pickup, as they're both different from the P90. And you can let me know in the comments what your favorite single coil tone is. Is it Fender Single Coil, or is it Gibson's iconic P90 pickups, which have stood up to the test of time? My goodness, do those pickups sound good. But that's a quick rundown of the three guitars that we're looking at. Now let's take a look at some affordable options from both Squier and Epiphone that will be good alternatives to these higher priced, higher end American made models. There's great guitars, great Strats, Les Paul Specials for every budget. Let's take a look. Kicking it off with the American Vintage 2 51 Tele in prototype white or butterscotch blonde at $25.69. A more affordable option is going to be the Vintera 2 50s Nocaster if you want a vintage-inspired Tele for much less. At $12.09, it's an affordable alternative made in Mexico, and the vintage attention to detail on Vintera 2 is second to none. I love this series. Check out that blonde with the black guard. $12.09, cannot go wrong with that guitar, I promise. If you want super affordable, under $500, there is no beating the Classic Vibe 50s Tele. Classic combinations, you got that maple fretboard, butterscotch blonde, or white blonde. Now looking at the Strat, here's the 65 American Vintage 2, and this is gonna have a rosewood fretboard. Beautiful candy apple red. I'm playing the Shoreline Gold today, and there's also a Sonic Blue. This at $24.19. Affordable alternatives, one of my favorite guitars that Fender makes, especially the Made in Mexico series. Vintera 2 60 Strat, I adore this guitar, as I've told you numerous times. You can check out all the demos on the channel. Olympic White has got a piece of my heart for sure. And then super affordable, Classic Vibe 60 Strat with a Laurel fretboard, but the vintage appointments that you'd expect out of a 60s style Strat for under $500. Love that guitar as well. Now taking a look at the Gibson Les Paul Special, $17.99, one of the more affordable options from Gibson USA. It's also made in America. I'm showing you today TV yellow, but there's also a beautiful vintage cherry and ebony, and it's got those P90 pickups, and that's why we're after this guitar today. Affordable options, Epiphone has an amazing new double cut, which gives you a little more access up that register, with the 1960 Les Paul Special double cut reissue. Long name, but that inspired by Gibson custom lineup is an awesome line of guitars. I really recommend them. And also, if you want to go super affordable with a Les Paul Special, I've played this one and I can definitely recommend the simple Les Paul Special from Epiphone under $500. All right, so there's some great options. Which guitar are you in the market for next? Maybe the tone test will give you the answer, and that's my job here on Play and Trade Guitars. Remember, if you are in the market for any of these guitars, shop New Gear using my link or scan this QR code and shop on your smartphone. Without further ado, let's get these guitars plugged in. I'm going to show you clean tones, we'll dirty it up, and then I'll let it sing in a mix, both with some rhythm examples in the mix and some scream and lead examples in the mix. On the other side, I'll see you back here so we can talk about my honest reactions to playing all three guitars, and I'll tell you my absolute favorite pickups in this battle. All right, drop a comment as we go. I'll see you on the other side. goodness, what did you think? There are so many ways that I can break this down, and you stuck with me to the end, so I'm gonna give you my honest breakdown of playing all three guitars. So you're after the single coil sound, which is an iconic, legendary sound, but do you go Fender single coil or do you go P90s? Hey, if you've got room and I've showed you some affordable options, you should really have both. I'm telling you. You should have a Tele, you should have a Strat, you should have a guitar with P90s. It's worth owning all three because I think, as you can hear, they all do sound distinctly different. I'm gonna kind of run down a few categories here. Let's start with most well-rounded guitar. Which of these three guitars did you think was the most well-rounded in terms of versatility and application in any musical setting? All right, here's my pick. You ready? Maybe no surprise here. I can get absolutely every tone I need out of a Telecaster. Of course, you get that nice in-your-face bridge tone. And I'll tell you what, there's even such a variation with Telecasters as to where you pick along the strings. Really noticeably bright as you get towards the back. And as you move up, it warms up and it rounds out. And that's really appealing too. And I'll tell you what, that neck pickup on a Tele is one of my favorite sounds. I told you I love the Strat neck pickup. We'll get there. But if you want an all-around versatile guitar, I mean, you can get like 335 tones and play jazz with this guitar with the neck pickup. You can do rock, you can do country, you can do funk. I mean, you name it. Booker T and the MGs, I mean, that was a Telecaster on those tracks. And I'll tell you what, Steve Cropper knew something when it came to the Tele because it was a versatile all-around winner for a variety of styles. And I particularly like the sound of a Telecaster with its tightness and roundness that comes, I think, from the string through body design. I think that adds a lot to the tone. And I like the variance of tone you get from that bridge pickup mounted on the steel plate. Which of these three guitars are the least versatile? In my opinion, and this might surprise you, I've got no complaints with this guitar, but I will tell you that despite the fact that a Stratocaster has more blended sound options, meaning you have a 5-way selector switch, the way I'm going to describe a Stratocaster is no matter what you do with it in the mix, it always sounds like a Stratocaster. You hear it and you go, that's a Stratocaster. And if you love the Stratocaster sound, trust me, there is nothing in the world wrong with that. But if you want more of a chameleon, I actually find that the Telecaster can be that workhorse chameleon which fits more sonic settings. Whereas anything you put a Stratocaster on is going to sound like a Stratocaster. And hey, nothing wrong with that. But those Stratocaster single coil pickups give you a legendary tone, which is adored by all of us, right? But I think that if I was gonna say which guitar is least versatile, I'd say the Strat simply because it sounds exactly like a Strat in every setting. And that may not be a problem. I'm just pointing it out. All right, how about most powerful? This should be no surprise. This was simple. Most powerful in-your-face tone for a single coil pickup, undeniably the P90 from Gibson. The P90 not only packs the absolute body and punch, it's much more aggressive than a vintage voiced Fender Telecaster or Stratocaster pickup, but it has so much more body, and what I love about it is with that body, unlike a humbucker, which is more compressed sounding no matter what, you get the body, but you get the singing bite in bridge, and you get a sound which is distinctly cutting through the mix in the best way possible. P90 guitars are overlooked in general, and I think the Les Paul Special is overlooked in general. I can tell you something happened though in doing this demo, and I've been working with this Les Paul Special on a few videos. I am ready to add a Les Paul Special to my collection, and I might even be ready to start playing the Les Paul Special on stage because I am loving it that much. It's that combination of power with articulate voice that cuts in the mix, which as somebody who plays lead on stage, is super appealing to me. I'm a Telecaster go-to guy. I love Telecasters because, like I said, they're versatile, they cut through the mix, and I can get every sound I need out of them. However, it is quickly being rivaled by how much I love this Les Paul Special, and I will definitely be adding one to my lineup. Is it my favorite? I don't know if I can tell you it's my favorite, but I can tell you that right now it's the one that I've got my eye on that I will certainly be adding to my collection and certainly be adding on stage. But the Telecaster in terms of sound is my favorite overall winner. In terms of pure power, I told you I'm sold on getting one now. My favorite sound was the P90 in this lineup. I've really opened my eyes lately to how much I want to put a guitar with P90s on stage with me and start playing it in live shows. I'm super pumped to do that. Let's stop for a second since we're talking about single coil pickups. Two things I generally don't find very appealing is an attempt to do noiseless pickups for single coil, because to me they don't sound the same. I've been most impressed by two noiseless pickups recently, and that is the noiseless pickups that they're putting on the Player Mod series and the PRS NF53 narrow field pickups, those double dish pickups, or deep dish pickups. But since we're talking single coil, let's address the elephant in the room and the hum. This is totally overblown. I don't find the hum, the 60 cycle hum of a single coil pickup to be nearly as big a deal as everyone makes it out to be. I can use a simple noise gate to bring off the standing hum if there is any. And also, it is like an antenna. You can literally turn typically like 45 degrees and eliminate the hum. Or use your volume and just turn the guitar down when you're not playing, right? I mean, it's that simple. To dismiss single coil pickups because they're noisy is totally overblown. It should not scare you away from traditional single coil pickups if you're used to humbuckers or if a friend has told you stay away because of the hum. It's totally overblown. It's one of those things like neck dive, which is also totally overblown. There is a Strat, a Tele, and a Les Paul Special, or a guitar with P90s, for every budget. And if you are buying that gear, I'm telling you, the payment plans makes it super easy. Spread that up over time, own the gear you want. It's a win-win. The one I'm gonna buy next, if you wanna consider this the winner, I'm gonna tell you it's the Les Paul Special because I'm so in love with the sound of P90s right now, I'm gonna add it to my arsenal for certain. So if you're doing that, use my link, scan this QR code, we can buy new gear together. Thanks for being part of Play and Trade Guitars. I'm John. Drop a comment and let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out and keep playing.